So, hello everyone. I am here out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, serious middle of nowhere. It took us 20 minutes of driving on dirt roads, bumpity, bumpity, bumpy, just to get to where I am. I happen to be in the Judean desert at a goat shepherding farm where they also have an outdoor wedding hall to celebrate my friends Racheli and Shmuel's wedding. Shmuel and Rachel's wedding. Sorry, I got the I in the wrong place. But in any case, so I apologize for the delay and for the fact that I'm in a car. But I'm nonetheless really excited to be introducing you guys to Bat-Chen Grossman. Those of you who know her know how much she and I love vibing off of each other and feeding off of that we both have like so much high energy. She loves working with women and go from stuck places into places of joy. So I'm really curious to know about her story, how she came to start doing this work, and also if she could share with us some practical tools that we can take home at the end of this interview. So without further ado, Rebbetzin, welcome, welcome. You're now on camera. And it's a pleasure having you here. Yay!
I am so impressed that you're at a wedding.
And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit of your story, how you got into this role of helping other women.
Okay, so I am Rebbetzin Bat-Chen Grossman.
It's perfect for talking about marriage.
What? Say that again?
Go ahead. I didn't say anything. Oh, there's a delay.
Yes, I think there is. Okay, so I'm Rebbetzin Bat-Chen Grossman. I am the founder of ConnectedForReal.com. And basically how I started was as a graphic designer. I was a graphic designer for 15 years and I climbed up and became an expert in packaging. And I really enjoyed what I do and did what I did. I always enjoy what I do. Somebody said that like, it doesn't matter where you live, you're always going to be happy. So it's pretty much like that with what I do. Like, it doesn't matter what I do, I'm always going to be happy. So I was happy doing what I was doing. And with the birth of my sixth baby, Baruch Hashem, I realized, or I guess sort of like felt that it was time to shift. And I think that shift wasn't something that happened like a boom. It was more like slowly but surely I started feeling like I was bored of doing the same thing, or, I was going into meetings and instead of doing the actual design, I was having more fun doing life coaching and fixing their problems. Most exciting for me was working with family businesses because there is so much drama. There's the father and the mother and the children and between the children and who's on whose team and who does what. And they don't appreciate me. And so much stuff was going on. And I had the time of my life. And basically, when my daughter was born, I took upon myself, it was right before the beginning of the year, it was exactly 2 years ago, I took upon myself to pray every single day. That was something that I've been working on my entire life. And I believed about myself that I wasn't consistent and I couldn't do it. And I just not good at it. And some people are more consistent than others. And I just happened to be like a complete loser in that field. And I believed it. So I really believed it. It's just like so frustrating not to be a consistent person because you just can't do anything. And after years and years of trying and seeing that it just doesn't work, I eventually decided not to give up and to be the very stubborn person that I am and to try again, but in a different way. And I found something that actually worked for me because everything else until then just didn't stick. And basically it was very simple. It was um, instead of doing bullet journaling that is in a book, I took just one page and I put just one line, and it was just, did I pray that day? And it was a yes or no question. And it had to be one time, and it had to be one actual prayer, the Shemona Esrei prayer. And so I knew exactly what I had to do. I knew exactly what it was that I needed to do in order to get that little box to be black. And I started tracking it, and I started getting really excited because I was getting more blacks than whites, and I was getting chains, and I was getting a momentum, and I was feeling really good about myself. And eventually I totally got that. I was so there. And that was the beginning of my journey, basically turning my whole belief about not being consistent into being very consistent. And I thought that was the big thing, except that was just the beginning. The side effect of what happened was actually the best part. The side effect was that I was talking to God every single day. And I was standing there every single day going, what do you want from me? What am I here for? I'm here for you. I'm here for you to do your will. So what do you will? And what do I will? And I don't know. What do you want me to want? And I was having these real great conversations with the one that actually put me here. And I was really deep. It was deep stuff, because that was the thing I took upon myself, to actually stand there and listen and talk. And anyway, so every single day I was so there that I was very attentive, and things started to show themselves. So people started knocking on my door and asking for advice. And, oh, by the way, can we have a drink? We were at the park and we live far away and you're the only person we know. And what should I do with my life? Or my wife is making me crazy, or my husband is this, and people would call me. And of course, it didn't just happen out of nowhere. People knew that I was the advisor from the day I was born. Okay. So it wasn't like a surprise, but the surprise part was that it just happened
and you were listening more.
Yes. And so like, we're talking 3 in a day, when before it was just like when I went to the park, or when I was, I wasn't as attentive to what I was doing most of the day, which is giving advice. So I came to peace with the fact that I actually have to lean into that. It was very hard because for all those years that I was in graphic design, I mean, I'm a daughter of a rabbi. As I said, I was born an advisor. I was born a rebbitzin. My parents were a rebbitzin. Everybody always came to us for advice, and I was their daughter, and I always listened in, and I always knew what was going on, and I always really understood what's happening, and picked up on all these little tools and tricks and things that they were doing to help and to advise. And then the follow-ups, I was very involved because it was in my house. So when I chose to be a graphic designer, people really did not expect me to do that. They thought I should go for teaching because it's such a perfect job. And my parents, who are both teachers, said, no, don't go into teaching. And so I am grateful until this day that they did that, because even though, I love teaching, I think that it was really the right way to just gear away from that and open up my world to seeing what other jobs are out there. And graphic design was awesome. As I said, I loved school. I went to Pratt Institute, so it was amazing, top quality, and I got to learn from the best, and I really enjoyed myself. Then I got to work on Fifth Avenue, and that was super amazing. And I got to design Disney stuff and like tell all my friends that all the princesses are all my friends. It was so fun. It was fun. It gave me a lot of great content, for just my everyday life. It was so fun. And of course, then after here, when I got to Israel, I was the expert, and I didn't think of myself as an expert, but it turns out nobody else here gets trained in how to design with
at that level.
Like you have to know a lot of stuff that they don't teach you. So I suddenly became the expert. And so I really was able to climb up and find clients. And I learned a lot about the business world. And and also on myself. And when I, we keep going back and forth, past, future, but for going back to the thing. Okay, so this story. I decided I was going to be an advisor. I started a YouTube channel a year later, which is exactly a year from back from now. I think it's almost exact. Like yesterday was the exact date.
Wow.
Mazel tov. Anyway. I am celebrating my 1 year YouTube bing. Is that even a verb? Okay, so I started YouTubing. I was just trying to help people. I just wanted to be here for you. I'm an advisor. I'm going to help you with whatever you need. And it was very, very vague and open. It was this like, I can help you. And
all people at all times, in all circumstances.
Exactly. And I knowing, here's where this like graphic design thing is coming in, because I was the one who told people they had to niche, and I was the one who told people they had to focus, and I was the one who told people that if you serve everyone, you will end up serving no one. So I had to go through that myself and really just be like, okay, but what do I love the most? I love helping people. Okay, that's not niche enough. What else? I want to help everyone, And I finally realized how difficult it is to like bring yourself to focus. And I hired, I was doing, so I did speeching, whatever. I gave speeches and stuff in America. It was a lot of fun. I flew down to Florida, which was like my highlight of my life. And that was right before Corona. And I thought, okay, great, this is awesome, And my husband wrote a book, and it was right before Pesach. So he was going to go on a whole, lot of different speaking tour. Yes, that didn't happen. And all his books were brought, sent back because there was no bookstores open. And so right before Corona, I hired a coach. That was my goal. I planned it out. I had the whole thing planned out. We were going to come back from America. I was going to hire this coach. And then for the next 6 months, I was going to work really hard on growing my business. And I paid her 4 days before the lockdown. Like, I was really shocked. And I really didn't think I was going to survive it. But I think it was the best thing that ever happened, because if I didn't pay her, then I probably wouldn't have been as committed to staying on track and continuing to do my thing, even with, coronavirus. So it really, really was a blessing from heaven that I stayed on track. I started doing a lot of Zoom meetings, a lot of classes, a lot of helping people one-on-one through Zoom, which was awesome. And another thing that she did right away, like I think in the second meeting, was like, okay, we got to niche you down. And I was like, thank you, please help me. And we niched down to marriage because
save me from myself.
Yes, exactly. We niched down to marriage because every time I talked to her, I lit up when a marriage issue came up. Like any of the people I told her about, like, oh, this week I helped this, and this. And these 3 were marriage, and they were awesome because the transformation is so much bigger when it has to do with marriage. There is so much.
So many more people.
Yes. And there's so much at stake. There's so much like tied up in knots in marriage. So there's money, and there's children, and there's parents, and there's, culture, and there's this, and there's like, it's all tied up. So when you untangle it, there's a lot more results that you see. And that makes me super excited. That makes me, you could tell I'm very happy. Another reason why I chose marriage, and I actually have a niche within marriage, is because I was in the business world and I was in a lot of networking meetings and a lot, the Temech conference and all these different conferences that were going on. I was really there. Like, I love people. So anything that has to do with social interaction, which is why I'm having such a hard time now, and I'm learning to love it. I love social people. I love people. I love being in people. So I was always there, and I was always in that conversation and helping everyone together grow. It's a great energy. And I picked up on so much that was going on in the businesswoman's life, where she is successful and she's trying hard and she's working on her mindset and she's working on her growth, and he's not. And then it creates this imbalance where I'm here and he's down here, and I'm here and he's not, and then I talk to him like this because he should know better and he should do this and he should do that. So there is this huge, huge gap that is the source of all evil.
And then he goes even lower.
Yes. Oh, and then you push him down because you're like, come on, come up. And he's like, I'm trying. It's amazing. It's beautiful. So in marriage, in my opinion, there are two types. There is the type that, of course, if we're like this, there is no problem, really. Like this is it. But there's the two types. There's the I'm on top and he's on bottom. And then there's the opposite. I'm on bottom and he's on top. And I chose to put all of my focus on the I'm on top, he's on bottom, because that is what lights me up. That's where I come from. That's what I had to go through. That's my journey to be able to help other people. I think
that's a particularly common struggle in like modern times. Like I see it so much amongst my peers. I see it so much amongst the singles that I know, of like women struggling to meet men who they feel like right are at their level. They're already seeing it even in dating. Forget marriage.
Yes. Well, first of all, I have a lot to say about the educational system, but the educational system empowers women so much because they're trying to compensate for the fact that they weren't empowered until now. And so women have all these opportunities. They're learning everything. They're gaining everything, the STEM and the everything and the anything. And they end up really up high intellectually.
And the system also rewards people who know how to sit still and be quiet. It's like you get reward, right? So it naturally rewards women more than men.
Yes.
It's a system designed more towards women's natural behavior.
Yes. And in the Jewish world, men have a certain way of learning. And so they're very in depth, and women learn everything. And so they end up learning a lot more facts and trivia questions and things like that. And men end up learning how to think, and they end up learning a lot of in-depth questions that have, a lot of meat, but don't actually get them a lot of respect. So when you get married and suddenly you're looking down at your husband for not knowing this, or, he should have known that, or men are supposed to know, blah, blah, blah. And so you have a lot of, in the religious world is one of my favorite things, is I'm a Rebbitzin. So my husband's the rabbi, and, so we get a lot of questions from that aspect also, where it's not fair, it's not fair that he doesn't know and I know, and how can I respect him if he doesn't know? It's a huge issue, and it happens, you could bring it into anything.
So can you give us like a distinction that can help us, whether we're married or not? We often struggle with respecting other people. And though we theoretically understand that, we're all God's children and we're all created by we're all divine aspects of divinity and all these beautiful things. At the end of the day, as human beings, we often go through the world looking down at other people.
Yes.
So what, do you have like a distinction or a tool that you can share with us on how we can better honor other people? How do we do that?
So I love that you asked this, because you're the one who helped me with this a long time ago in the first live we ever did. And it was, you explained it so beautifully, and I since then use it. You said the generality versus the specific. When you think of all men should, all husbands should, or, it's not okay that I don't know what, principals should care about the students and not put them in, sitting in masks all day or whatever it is that, we're so upset about. When I think of it as like something that's distant and not real, then I have a harder time relating to it. And one of the best things is the turnarounds in Byron Katie's work, which I really love using because I find that it really, it's like simple and exact. There's turnarounds where you also use this. You can take the same exact sentence and then turn it around and just notice how sometimes I also don't do that, or, oh, he should be perfect. And then you're like, I should be perfect. Yeah, but I'm not, So it turns it around and shows you that you're just as human. You're just as human as he is. I think that is the key to being respectful, is turning the situation around. I was working with someone recently and she said, he says one thing and he really,
does another.
And then we turned it around and she's like, oh my gosh, I do the same thing. Of course you do the same thing. See, I think marriage is, God did this on purpose, okay? He put two people who are very different together, and it wasn't a mistake. He did it because they're there for each other to grow. I have a very, very loved mentor who passed away a couple of years ago. She used to say, you walk by the mirror and you see yourself and you see that you have a stain on your shirt. So what do? You go and you clean the mirror, right? No, you clean your shirt. Like, nobody would think to clean the mirror. But we do it all wrong.
I love that.
Long. We're constantly trying to fix our husbands. They're the problem, duh. And we don't focus on the actual problem,
because then I have to look at my stuff. Like, I don't want to admit that I've got stains on my dress. I'd rather pretend that it's the mirror, even more so if it stains in my personality, my character, my behavior. Like, I don't want to look at that. I'd rather deflect it onto somebody else so I don't have to deal with it.
Yes. And then when people tell me we've tried everything, I'm like, I know. You tried bleach on the mirror. You tried scrubbing the mirror. Really, you've tried everything. Because even though you think you tried everything, if you didn't get the stain off, then you obviously weren't treating the stain. You were treating the other person. This is why I only work with women. Because if a couple comes to me, right away, the first thing that happens is they blame each other. It's his fault. It's her fault. And the second thing that happens right away, no, it's not me. So you're doing two things. You're blaming and you're deflecting. You are 100% not in a place where you can take responsibility for what you can control. 100%. You can't even start. You can't even be honest, because there's so much at stake for holding your ground and being like, no, it's not me. So the most important thing that I found was saying no to couples right away. Like, if you want, I'll work with the woman. And why I dafka work with the woman and not the men?
Dafka means exactly or precisely. Yeah. Go on.
Why? Sorry. You know what? Even in college and Pratt Institute, I used to say things like that. Like, I tried to explain my design and I would throw words in and people were just like, yeah. They knew what it meant. It just flows. So I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm sorry. It just comes out. So some people will work with the person who has the problem. Okay. Like, if the husband is the one who's upset and wants help, then he can get help. And I'm fine with that. Go to Hannah. She treats men. She's awesome. I don't do men for a couple of reasons. My first one is that I am a Rebbitzin and I don't want to get into those relationships of deep thought and deep discussion with other men. That's my personal preference. Another reason is because I truly believe that men in their nature want to make their wives happy. So they will do anything to make her happy. They are willing to do, like, really go to the moon and back for their wife just so she could be happy. And here's the thing, he feels like a failure because she's not happy. And so really what I just need to fix is the wife. Because if she was happy, he would be happy too. I guarantee it. It's just so simple. So I don't even care. I think he's fine. He's off the hook. Go and do your thing. You'll also, another thing is, I just don't believe that men need as much, like, they're not made to need that interaction of working on themselves with another person. I think that they can find that from within. You just need to leave them alone, like, like the man cave. Sometimes just leave them alone and let them hash it over. They will come to the right conclusions by themselves if you don't push it. The problem we have is that, like you were saying, a lot of times I'm pushing him down so that I'm not letting him find his own things. I'm not letting him find his quiet time or his truth and find the things that he wants to be working on. And that's something I had to go through. Total vulnerability here. I had for years, I was trying to help, code word, okay? Fix. I was trying to help my husband because I really thought that he needed help. I mean, he's so brilliant. He's such a genius. He needs to go out online and be there and do things and for people to know him and da 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 da. Okay. When I finally turned it around and said, I need to be online helping people and, I'm such a valuable blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, that's scary. Never mind. And so I pushed myself to open up a YouTube channel just because that's what I've been telling him to do for like maybe 5 years. Okay. And it was a challenge on myself to show me how hard it is that I thought, oh, just open up a YouTube channel.
No big deal.
Big deal. So just like start showing up, tell people what you're about, and they will come to you. Yeah, not as easy as I thought, but
not at all.
I love side effects because that's what I'm all about. The side effect of that was that I started becoming way more happy and I left him alone. I let him do his thing. So then once I started doing my YouTube channel, I was so busy growing myself. He was finally free to write all his books and be all excited about what he's learning and share it with people and meeting new rabbis all day and all night and having these deep discussions about, current issues with Torah and how they intersect and all these different great things that are going on. That would never happen if I was helping him because I had no idea.
Helping. So it's interesting because you were talking about this metaphor of the mirror with the stain.
Right.
And and this is something different from a stain. It's almost like a vision that you see in the mirror and you're trying to push that vision onto the other person rather than seeing that vision is really a reflection of you. It's a reflection of what you're meant to do. But because it's so scary, you figure if you could just get someone else to do it, right? So if you could just get someone else to do your personal growth work and fix your personality traits, and you can get somebody else to achieve your goals for you, then you don't have to take the vulnerability of trying and putting yourself out there and stumbling all over yourself and messing up and exposing yourself. And it's so scary. So it's like what I'm hearing from you is there's two things we can do when we see something in another person that we don't like or that we want them to do, that we can just bring it back onto ourselves and say, like, this is really what we want for our lives. We're just putting it onto the mirror, but really it belongs to us.
Right. And if you know the work by Byron Katie, the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, number 3 and number 4 are really practical. And that's my, when I called my channel Connected for Real, it was because I'm very connected. I have a very, very straight line relationship with God. I could talk to him. I could listen. I'm very, I thought it was natural and normal and everybody has that. But it turns out it was something special to me that I had to figure out when I was figuring out my name. But also for real is the other part of it, where I bring it all down and make it very practical. And I really want to know what to do with it. Like, I don't leave it up there. I don't let it stay fluff. One of my most important things is to really ground it and bring it to, for real, to reality. So number 3 and number 4 are exact things, like the exact steps you need to take in order to go to the next level on your own growth. Like, what do I need to do next? Turn it around. He should learn more. I should learn more. He should listen more. I should listen more.
Listen more.
He should be more respectful. I should be more respectful. And so it's just like, boom, a pie in the face, exactly to the dot of what I need to do.
It's beautiful. And you do it with that most intimate relationship. It's a sign of like the thing that's closest to you is really what matters to you so much of how you can be in this world. Thank you so much for sharing with us, for giving me so much like, I'm trying to think, because I'm going to, I'm about to step into a wedding with my husband. And it's always such a time where I like remember my own wedding and my own time where I, made that commitment. And it just feels very romantic and intimate. But to also add this piece of like, wow, he's my greatest mirror and my greatest teacher. And so to go into this wedding with these like inspiration, I feel so appreciative of that. So thank you so much. And your website is connectedforreal.com.
Yes, it is. And I'm doing
I'm putting that here, and it's also in the show notes.
Awesome. I'm starting a holiday prep your marriage series. It's going to be right before every holiday. So Thursday right before Shoshana, Thursday right before Yom Kippur, and Thursday right before Sukkot. For anybody interested.
And people can find out about that on your website?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's
been such a pleasure chatting with you. I love hanging out with you. We have so much fun together.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. And usually people don't get to hear my backstory because like it's so boring. Who cares?
I actually didn't know your backstory. I love this. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
And part of the backstory was that I was running away from facing my actual gifts. Like if I could just be a graphic designer and do the other stuff on the side, I don't actually have to call myself. I don't actually have to. So, it's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Take care, everyone. Have a sweet, sweet week.
Yeah.